Welcome back to the Inner Journeys, Outer Adventures podcast. I'm your host, Corey Jacobson, and with me today I have another special guest, Nick Metnik. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. He is a brown belt, recently got it last fall. Been to the World Championship and got second place 2 years in a row now. And he's gone through quite a bit in his life, so we're going to learn some things about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and what Nick's gone through and what he's learned about.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Corey. Appreciate it.
Well, welcome, man. So I think where we start is kind of how you got into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So, life has a way of treating you well and sometimes kicking you. And just happened to be a moment in life I got kicked pretty hard from an unexpected place, and I turned to jiu-jitsu, something I was really interested for years. In fact, I had lived out in California for a long time, and I was near a gym called Team Quest. It was Dan Henderson's gym, and I was interested in it back then, and I really, just like every jiu-jitsu guy will tell you, I wish I would have found this earlier in life. I wish I would have done this sooner, because we always feel a little older, too old for a combat sport especially. So I finally, after this major life event, we'll call it, I decided to turn to it and do it. I went in, checked the gym out, was training underneath Catlin Martinek and Steve Gibson. Steve Gibson was my Muay Thai kickboxing coach. Loved kickboxing, loved jiu-jitsu with Catlin. Just from the day one, I was getting my ass kicked, and I loved it. Like, you either get motivated by it or your ego implodes, and you're like, oh man, I thought, like, I came in with like zero expectations of myself. Like, I was always I had a lot of heart, but everybody thinks they're a better fighter than they really are until you get thrown into a gym of people that train, and you're like, holy crap, there's levels to this, and I was just getting smashed. So immediately, within the first week, I handed the gym a whole year's membership. It's just like, I'm in. I'm just all in all year. This is me now. So start rebuilding pieces of me through the gym, and yeah, you fall in love with the suck. And obviously you want to be better. Like, you can't suck forever. Yeah. Spoiler, so there's always some bit of suck in the journey. Even at brown belt, you realize, like, I just realize I don't know anything. This is at a belt where you can start consistently tapping black belts, which seemed like unicorn when I started. Like, no way I'm going to tap a purple belt. When you're a white belt starting out, like, blue belts just seemed like unachievable. Purple belts seemed scary. Brown belts were just rare. Black belts, you barely saw them, unless you went into the cities and whatnot. So,
right. So could you take us through, like, the belt system and, like, what that really means and, like, how long it takes to attain these?
Sure. Yeah.
For those that don't know.
Yeah. I'll cut out the youth belts, because that's a lot of weird little in between belts, so we'll just stick with the adult belts. But we start with the white belt, the hardest belt to achieve, because you have to walk into the gym and start, and a lot of people don't. So it goes from white belt, and each belt has a stripe system or a degree or whatnot, so we call them stripes. And in the beginning, they mean a lot to you. Mm-hmm. As you go on, you don't care, which is good, because you shouldn't focus on the progression as much. It should be a mental progression of skill. Okay. Yeah, not necessarily representation of cloth or tape. So anyways, it starts at white belt, and you get 4 stripes, and then you test out for blue belt. And then from blue belt, another 4 stripes. Okay. And then you go to purple, 4 stripes, go to brown, 4 stripes, go to black. Everybody's different. Every gym's different. Some people, take way long at certain belts, but on average, it's about 2 to 4 years, depending on the belt. Sometimes a year. I was at purple for about a year, so I actually did a lot, just a little over a year. So I wasn't in that belt for long, year and a half, but on average it takes, they say, 8 to 12 years to get a black belt. I think that number is going to change because there's a lot of young people that have been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time that are popping into adults and they've already got years behind them, And so I think the highest belt a kid can start at is blue when he transitions to adult. So he could be years deep into jiu-jitsu and then come in as a blue belt. I could be wrong though. But anyways, on average, 8 to 12 years. So they don't give these things away.
Yeah.
They're definitely earned. And, it's an individual journey. There's people that put a lot of weight on competing to progress. Some people don't compete at all. And, they get there and that's fine. There's a lot of casuals. We got some casuals in the gym, but what's beautiful about our gym, we're at a gym called Club 37. It's a local gym. I'm just going to plug it really quick.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Here in Eau Claire, expanding. It's just an awesome facility and awesome owners, Catlin Martinek and Sarah Martinek. They've done so much for all of us. They really have made sure everybody stays in line and we get into Airbnbs when we go and compete and everything runs smooth. And they just, Catlin's he's our black belt instructor, and Sarah, she's a black belt in keeping our shit together.
Right.
She's got that down. She makes sure that everybody has got everything. The registrations are done. Everything. She runs a tight ship and makes sure she tries to keep as much off of Catlin's plate, and they just have a great synergy between the two of them, and it's awesome. It's infectious in the gym, so it's definitely a family. So when we compete, we travel, and so a lot of these casuals end up competing, like trying it, which is cool. Again, not required, but
Right.
really cool that it's it's a culture. It's definitely a lifestyle, a culture, and once you're once you're bitten by that bug, it's exciting. And so I can see why people go from the casual side to like, I'm going to try competing. And I think because the gym makes it so fun, that makes it an easy transition to what can be a scary thing. I mean,
Oh yeah.
there's definitely barriers to protect athletes at these tournaments, but it's a razor thin line. I mean, things can go bad really quick. We're trying to break each other's arms. We're trying to break limbs. We're trying to choke people out. And it's funny because choking is like the safest thing of all of those, is to put somebody to sleep, big deal. But, you pop somebody's ankle, they're out for 3 to 6 months. You
Yeah.
tear their knee, they might never be the same. And
Right.
these are the risks. And so to see a casual martial artist, jiu-jitsu player transition to doing competition is really cool, because it's really putting a lot on the line. And, a lot of us have accepted that and go out there, do it. And it changes you. You walk around a little bit differently when you keep doing it. A lot calmer, less skittish.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's confidence. I think confidence is key. I think people get in bar fights and whatnot over ego and fear. People get jumpy. And the more you do this, I think the less likely you're going to be jumpy. Now, don't get me wrong. There's guys that are kind of bully at nature, and they're probably excited to try out their cool jiu-jitsu skills in a bar setting. Like, I'm not going to discount that, but for the most part, most guys, like, I do this all the time. Like, mine is throwing punches, and sometimes we throw punches. Sometimes we roll with MMA. We have MMA fighters that come train with us, and it's a good reminder too, because I would play what would be considered sport jiu-jitsu, which means I'll do a lot of stuff that would be dumb if somebody was throwing punches or kicks at me, right? I'd be eating them, because versus trying to protect my face.
Right.
So it's nice to switch into more an MMA role with these guys and remind yourself that jiu-jitsu is designed, and the guard, which is the basis, the foundation of jiu-jitsu, the guard was to minimize the amount of damage you're going to take,
Right.
and maximize the amount of damage you can give back without getting hurt. And so it's all about control. So to switch back to a self-defense kind of aspect instead of the sports side of jiu-jitsu is exciting. What's irritating is going on the internet and people really kind of acting like most jiu-jitsu players don't understand the difference between sports, jiu-jitsu, and the self-defense. It's just kind of silly because everybody goes down all the street fights. Would you pull guard? Would you do this? Would you do that? Like, there's if you practice the sport, you've been in it as long as I have. There's a lot of things you just know you're not. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put myself on my back underneath a guy unless I can finish the fight immediately.
Right.
I'm probably going to use my limited, albeit limited. I'm not, takedowns aren't my big forte. I'm working on it, but I would probably try to take somebody down and be on top and control the fight from there, instead of doing what I would do in a match, which is probably pull guard and start attacking their legs and try to get on top from bottom. Anyways.
Yeah. So you mentioned how it changes. You've seen changes in like the casual people that are just doing jiu-jitsu, probably just for fun and to have something physical and activity to do. So you've seen like confidence change in them and the way that they carry themselves change. How would you say it's changed you in your life?
Oh boy. So you hear this phrase all the time, and I'm not going to discount it. You hear people say, jiu-jitsu saved my life. And I've seen it time and time again where it probably has, like, it's really kept somebody away from drugs or out of bad situations. Craig Jones put it right, in my opinion. He's like, I've seen jiu-jitsu ruin people's lives. So I would be lying to you if I were to say that jiu-jitsu completely made a positive impact. It's made me definitely more of an absent father, not as present as a husband, because I have dedicated a lot of time to the gym. Like you get that bug, you want to be better. It becomes your bar, right? The place you go, not to avoid going home, but like some people would use a bar, but it's, you know what I mean? You end up spending all this extra time. So why jiu-jitsu has given me confidence where I lacked a lot of it throughout life. Or at least maybe I had a false sense of confidence, but it's given me, I think, real confidence. But it's also stolen some time from my family, and I try to give it back as much as I can. But it definitely, before getting into jiu-jitsu, I was a lot more present, and so that part, sucks to admit, but it isn't always as rosy as, oh, jiu-jitsu saved my life. Well, yeah, in some shapes or form, maybe it does, but you have to acknowledge the fact that it can also destroy parts of your life too. Give you injuries, give you life-changing injuries. Like, there's risks to any sport. So, or anything you get infatuated with. And that's the thing about jiu-jitsu. It's one of those, you see people with CrossFit, they get infatuated with CrossFit. Jiu-jitsu is no different. You get infatuated with it. You want to get better. And that comes with that risk of where does your time go then?
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, you say you were present more because you were there, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think you were mentally present still, though? Do you feel like jiu-jitsu has changed your mental space in your own head to where you can maybe be actually more present where you are?
I wish I could say that was the case.
No?
But sometimes you get a little spacey. Sometimes you think about, that my last sparring session, I could have done this or that. You start to daydream a little bit about some things. Like, you get kind of caught in, I wish I could turn that off. Like, the great thing about any exercise is it turns off the outside world and you focus on what's happening now.
Right.
But sometimes, I mean, with jiu-jitsu or a combat sport or something, you can still be lost in that moment and thinking about your previous session when you should be thinking all about family 100% or something. Like, I don't know, it numbs you to some things, I guess. So that's the other side of.
Well, I think that's passion, isn't it?
That's
whatever you're passionate in, it's gonna be all encompassing for you.
Yeah. I can say though that going back to, I mean, that's more of I'm talking more of the negative side, but the positive sides is I've met some amazing people, celebrities, legends in the sports, the top of the food chain in the sport, you know, like all the people that have molded, changed the sports, the Gracies, Eddie Bravo, Gordon Ryan, you know, these people. I was even it's just surreal. I was at Arizona 2 years ago competing at a tournament at an IBJJF Open, and I was going against this one guy, and what Mario Lopez is his corner man, and cheering against. He's like rooting against me, rooting for his teammate, of course. And my guys are like heckling Mario Lopez because my guys, they're just a bunch of knuckleheads, you know, or we're just a crew. Because he's saying like, "Oh, pass his guard," and they're like laughing. They're like, "That's not going to happen, Mario." You know, they're like,
Yeah.
they're like, God.
Yeah.
But and then I got to meet Mario Lopez afterwards. I'm like, what world am I in right now? Like, I watched this. I mean, we're 7 years apart. You know, I'm getting long in the tooth here, but you know, I grew up watching this guy on, you know, Saturdays on TV, and here he is talking to me, and we're chumming it up over jiu-jitsu and all that. Shakes my hand over. I beat his guy, thankfully, and but it was cool. And that day, Mario, he cleaned out his division. I mean, he's a stud on the mats too, and so a lot of these celebrities are getting into or have been into jiu-jitsu for a long time. Just over Halloween, I went to a Tool concert, and a black belt, Jesse Rainey from up north. He owns a gym called Origin. Awesome gym in Rice Lake. If you're in the area, check it out. He was invited up to train with Maynard before the concert, like backstage. I mean, this is the weird stuff that happens with jiu-jitsu. Like, and I almost got to go with him, but he didn't realize that.
Right.
He didn't realize I was looking for, you know, I had a ticket for my brother. My brother backed out last second. So, anyways, it's taken me to some weird places, and now I'm gonna go to Vegas to compete at Worlds, or the biggest tournament. And like move 10 feet and run into somebody I know. It's so cool. Like you just keep competing and you get to know these people, and I don't know. It's a brotherhood. It's an awesome network. I love it. I mean, everything about it, other than, you know, the things I pointed out, made me less present as a husband and a father, and I try to give back. I even try to coach my kids for a few years, and till the hours changed of class, and I couldn't do it anymore. But I try to keep them involved to make that feel less selfish.
Yeah.
But now that they're older, it feels a little selfish sometimes. But then again, like, what's normal for gym time? You know, what's normal for self-care? I don't know that standard. What's the metric on that? Is it an hour a day? Is it 2 hours? Is 2.5 excessive? Like, I wouldn't mind knowing the answer to that.
I don't know if there's a single answer for it. I think it's a individual decision. It's a personal decision. For me personally, I think it's something where you have to take that time for yourself, and whether it's you're just working out or you're reflecting while you're working out, you're thinking about different things and you're trying to improve yourself, right? I think that's the biggest part of it is with physical exercise or anything that we're doing with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, CrossFit, powerlifting, whatever it is. If you're trying to improve yourself, I think that's going to make you a better person for other areas of your life.
Yeah, I agree with that. Totally, especially the individual thing, family to family, person to person.
Right.
Like, what's an acceptable amount of time away? As long as it's communication.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah. So that's why I struggle. I've always had that part of me that always wanted to please people, and I don't want to, ruin anybody's day. So I'm always overthinking everything. I'm an overthinker. So maybe I'm right with the presentness, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I definitely can see. You know, you can feel it. You can feel it when you're spending too much time, especially when we're getting ready for competitions, and we're spending more time in the gym, getting ready and dedicating more time there. We definitely turn it up. Mm-hmm. We train in the cities. We'll put extra days in, so you start to feel that resentfulness grow and that guilt
Yeah.
start to fester.
Well, I think that's part of like, everybody talks about balance in life, work-life balance or whatever balance you're looking for. But I think there's seasons in your life, where maybe it's within a year or not, or like where you're gearing up for a competition, you have to spend more time, putting your all for that because you want to be good at it, you want to do well at it. And then other times you're probably taking less time from it, from jiu-jitsu, and more time with the family. And it's not like it's ever going to be the same at all times.
Yeah.
There's seasons where it's more, sometimes it's less, and there's a balance within that. But you got to understand what season you're in, and then, like you said, communicate.
Yeah.
Communicate where the priorities are, what's important to you, and hopefully people understand that way.
Yeah, and you have to prevent burnout too. I mean, when we start competing a lot, you can start to feel the burnout a little bit from traveling and getting ready and making sure your weight's right and all that stuff. But I did definitely take a bit of a mental shift. I quit drinking altogether. I was definitely an alcoholic. We can segue into that from here in a second. But what I had found is I would get ready for a tournament and do everything right. And then as soon as that tournament was over, I would just go drink. I was a smoker at a time, smoke cigarettes, whatever, just undo all that hard training. And at some point in my life, I just got tired of it. And I was like, let's just be competition ready all the time. Mm-hmm. And obviously it made a visible difference in my body, and I felt much better and all that stuff. And for a while there, it got hard because even quitting vices is like exhausting. Like, oh man, I can't have anything fun, I can't have a vice. So, denying yourself stuff over and over again does get exhausting its own. But once you weather that storm and accept the lifestyle, it does get easier. I live in Wisconsin. It's not easy to not drink here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was in yoga the other day, actually, and someone mentioned NAs. Like, I got NAs after class. One of the teachers said that, and someone said, what are those? And she wasn't joking. I was like, that is the most Wisconsin answer ever. What are NAs?
What's a non-alcoholic beverage?
Yeah. I probably would have said the same thing, but jokingly before.
Right.
So yeah, once I stopped that whole work hard and then reset
mentality almost.
Yeah,
right?
and I'm serious. Like now, I've been so damn close to world champion now. That I want it really bad. I got to rank number 2 at my belt in weight and age in the world for a purple belt. I was really, really proud of that. I was just one win away from taking first in the world. And that's okay. That's okay. Now I'm at brown belt and I start all over in points. And you get that imposter syndrome coming into a new rank. And so I'm going to compete end of next month in Memphis, Tennessee at an IBJJF Open. Hopefully kick some of that imposter syndrome out of the way before I go to PANS in Florida, which is a major tournament, big tournament. So I want to get that out of the way. But
let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
We were talking about, so you went through cycles of training really, really hard, doing whatever the event or competition was, and then almost falling off the wagon and going back to your vices, smoking, drinking. How long of a cycle were you doing that for? Like, how was it? Years?
Oh, just months.
Months.
Yeah, just months. Like it was like, it's like I could breathe again. Because I had worked really hard for something, and I was like, oh yeah. I just gave myself permission to just explode. And there's nothing wrong with, like, everybody does it in some shape or form. They're like, oh, got to I climbed my mountain. Now I can chill a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, and you should enjoy your wins a little bit. But I would lean heavy into it. It was almost like I was reversing my fitness completely. Like I leaned into it so hard. And I would just come back, but I'm like, why do I keep doing this with my jiu-jitsu career? Like, am I serious about it? Like, I'm far out of the adult vision, which is where anybody really cares, is the adult vision. Anybody that's going to make a name for themselves is generally in the adult vision. So I'm way past that. So what is it, I want to change that. I do want the Masters division in IBJJF. I want people to be recognized in that division. I would love to be one of those people someday.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided that I just got to knock this shit off and, just work hard all the time. And it doesn't have to be enormous pressure. I don't have to train 5 days a week. A lot of people say more is going to make you better. Not in combat sports, not in everything. How much information can you digest, in a week? How much is actually going to stick? If I spar hard all week, did I gain much? Maybe. If I drill new moves, and retain 10% of it, yeah, maybe I got a little bit better. So it's really just kind of training smarter, approaching everything a little bit different, and also trying to keep that pressure cooker from building to where I want it to explode and drink and smoke and all that stuff. So just keeping it manageable,
Yeah.
but still being serious about it. So I added more yoga, a lot of sculpt at the yoga room. Shout out to the yoga room, local Eau Claire, awesome, good people.
I love the yoga room.
Yeah, I love the yoga room. So I started spending more time doing their strength and sculpt stuff, and now I'm adding actual yoga in because I realized I need stretching. Can't just throw weights around and heat all the time, and
Yep.
especially when I'm trying to throw bodies around in the gym, So I just changed everything, just slowly as I get older and longer in the sport. I realize that there's changes that need to be made. If I'm gonna be a black belt someday and continue to compete, I have to think about my future and my body, and sometimes even who I roll with. There's some guys that just 300-pound guy. I really got to think about that. Is my body healthy enough to fight that today?
Right, yeah.
Which sucks because I don't want to turn down any.
Right.
I want to go when I compete. I'll do. If you podium, you can go into open weight. So it's literally the best people
Across
of every
the board,
division,
yeah.
of every weight class in that division. And sometimes it's open belt too. Sometimes it'll be any belt.
Oh, okay.
So it gets pretty wild.
Yeah.
But so I don't turn down rolls because I do like rolling with the big dudes, the David versus Goliath. I'm a middleweight, so I should, right? And mad respect for the tiny dudes that are in there. The 130, the 150 pound, 135, those guys. I'm like, well, good on you. And you see a match up with a 275-pound guy.
That's a hard one to get past.
Yeah. You gotta have your stuff wired tight because this is not an untrained guy you're going against.
Right.
It's the same belt level. You better be damn good. This is where size and muscle matters.
Oh yeah.
When you're at the same level. So if they're belts apart, then you can. There's an equation of belt and technique versus size and strength.
Well, something you touched on there, the amount of time that you're doing your task or how hard you're going with it, and especially with jiu-jitsu, if you're rolling all the time, 5-6 days a week, that's probably putting a big toll on your body, and that's something that I kind of talk about in the fitness world, is being smart with your training. So it's very similar to what you were just talking about right there, is being smart with your training rather than just pushing harder. So it's balancing recovery with how hard you're training for and what you're training for. You have a very good idea of what you want to accomplish and what you're out to do. Some people are just pushing hard to push hard just because they like that feeling, Yeah. If you ever do a very intense workout like sculpt,
yeah,
and you enjoy the feeling after of how hard you pushed, but you can't do that every day and expect your body to hold up, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a big shift. So my generation had that no pain, no gain mentality. Well, you as a sports medicine guy, you're like, if there's pain, that's probably, I don't know, maybe you're different, but if there's pain, maybe you should listen to your body. Like, okay, maybe I don't push through that. But exhaustion, that's where the magic's made, is when you're so tired and you want to leave the mats and go home and somebody grabs hey, one more roll. That's the kind of pushing that's okay. I'm all right with
Totally
that.
agree with that.
Yeah. When I'm out of breath and I feel like one more roll make me want to get sick, and someone wants me to go. That's where the magic happens. You start quitting on yourself when you're tired. You'll quit in a tournament when you're tired.
100%.
But that no pain, no gain crap.
Yeah, you gotta
listen to your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta listen to your body. You have to understand, is this going to injure me or am I just tired?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you said it very well.
Yeah. Tired, I'm fine. All right. I'll work through that. I'll work through the tired. And even at the yoga room, if I'm so hot I can't breathe and feel like I'm lightheaded, I'll step out. Like, your ego is not your amigo. Just step out and reset sometimes. But
I get so many people in trouble.
oh yeah, especially in jiu-jitsu, your ego can literally tear your shoulder off. Like if you're a upper belt and there's this stud blue belt that you don't want to tap to because you never tapped to him before, and he's got you in a sub, and in the back of your damn mind you're like, I should tap, and then he might take your arm home that day, and you should have tapped.
Yeah.
So your ego can definitely get you injured in a sport like that, and any other sport. Like, you throw too many plates on and you do a lift you shouldn't do. Or me doing a deadlift with my back and the condition it gets in sometimes, just shouldn't push it. Why? And so it's going to take me out longer.
That's an important question right there, is why do I want that?
What's the gain versus the loss, ratio? And if it doesn't move the needle enough, then what's the point? So I'm in it for the long. I'm older. I have to adjust my training. Yeah, I have to spar differently with people, certain people I can go hard with, some people I have to slow down and think, and everything matters, where you put, it's chess. So definitely listen to your body. I think it's probably the most important thing that I was ever told, was listen to my body.
Yeah. And so before we reversed back, you were talking kind of about your world championships and in purple belt, almost getting that first place.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Wow. So the first one was crazy. So my buddy Eric Cabasco and I had just gotten our purple belts that spring, and we were doing good. We felt like we belonged. We've been doing good. We got our purple belts. We weren't terribly shocked that we got them. But going into Worlds, I was like, and I had a back injury, and it took me out for about 3 weeks, and had about a week and a half to get that cardio back to where it needed to be for the tournament. So I went to Vegas. I bought everything. I paid my dues, my tickets, everything. I'm like, there's no way in hell that I'm going to do good. And I almost lost the first match. I went against a guy that I beat before. He's a smart jiu-jitsu player, so I knew he was going to come with a plan, and he did. And 30 seconds left in the round, he swept me and got his 2 points, which was put him on top. And thankfully, I was able to re-sweep him and put him in a sub and almost finish the sub and get my points in. So first round, I almost lost right away.
When you say sub, you mean submission?
Submission, yeah. To get somebody to tap and say, I'm done. Yeah, get somebody to quit, break them. So barely squeaked out of that round. And that was the whole day. Now, there isn't a lot of time between these matches. So that's the other thing that was in my mind, is like, cardio was in the back of my mind. But I don't know, my nerves were okay. I had competed enough. And I just kept doing enough to win. And it just kept going until I was in the finals. And I was like snatching victories with seconds left.
Yeah.
Like submissions, arm bars, triangles, with 7 seconds left on the clock. And that's how it went all day. And I'm like, oh crap. And then to finally get to the finals, and I go against a guy, I was doing really good. I had 2 sweeps. Sweep is where I take somebody and put them on their butt. But I don't get points unless I get up and get on top, right? So I'd scramble for top position. And the second time I swept him, I scrambled for top position, and we both ended up on our feet. And what I didn't realize is after 3 seconds in IBJJF rules, takedowns come back into play. So he grabs a leg, and I just pull him down to the ground, which gives him like a free 2 points, like a takedown. That's a takedown. And so I was kicking myself in the head for that. In fact, I even said something. I said, "Are you effing kidding me?" And the guy, his name is Tyler, he goes, "Nope." Nope. So, which made me kind of laugh, but we had a friendly banter. You're not supposed to talk when you compete, but so we're going, and they know me as a guy that throws up a lot of triangles. So I'm sure they're aware of that, because this is another gym that knows the gym that I train with. They used to train together. And in the last 10 or so seconds, I threw up a triangle. I got him. It's a choke with my legs. And I got him. I thought it was pretty tight and just couldn't get the squeeze. And then I was hearing somebody like say switch to arm bar, because that was working all day. And I switched to that. That actually helped the guy breathe, and it was a mistake.
Wow.
And I went back to squeezing, and then the time was done. And I'm like, man, so
close.
Yeah. So when I came up for that second sweep, if I would just sat down my butt before 3 seconds went up, I probably would have won by an advantage. So they would have given me advantage for almost sweeping. So I would have nudged my way into victory lane. So, all right.
Do you think going into that, you didn't really have any expectations?
Zero.
So do you feel like that?
No,
that
I did have expectations. My expectations to lose.
To lose, yeah.
Yeah.
So you feel like there was no pressure on you, and that's almost why you did so well?
Yes. In fact, I tell especially new competitors, I'm like, you're the new guy. They have to beat you. Like, flip your mind. Like, you don't have to beat them. They have to beat you. Like, take that pressure off yourself. Mm-hmm. A lot of these guys, they throw headphones on and crank metal or rap or whatever the hell gets them going. Like, I don't like the adrenaline dump. I like to focus. I like to meditate kind of a little bit. I'm not like a Zen person, but I like to just kind of zone out, focus on what I'm going to do. I don't let the noise distract me. In fact, when I compete, I'm notoriously bad for hearing my corner shout things out. And we just try to stick to, like, you know, how much time is left or whatnot. But I get so focused. Like, I step up for competitions. Like, I'm more known for being what they call a gamer. When it's time to compete, everybody knows Nick is going to try hard.
Gotcha.
So,
do you do any like visualization before the match?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I absolutely do.
Visualizing moves that you're going to be doing, and that.
Mm-hmm. I start to feel it in my legs. You know, it's like if you, like in the boxing, you start moving, you start finding your limbs start to twitch or something like that. Like, I start thinking about it, and I just want to go. It happens to me when I watch my teammates go.
Yeah.
Like, I just start to, like,
you're feeling like you're in it.
I get so emotional about it. Like, not crying or anything, just so moved by, like, I get so fired up.
Yeah.
So, which is funny because I'm not a sports guy. I never was growing up. So to finally find a sport that does that to me is I know I'm in the right thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it moves me. It definitely moves me. And there's nothing better than seeing a friend win.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and it hurts when they lose. So, yeah. So I do a little bit of visualization. I try to drown out the noise. I try to get those nerves to go away. I probably go pee about 18 times before my first match. Like, there's a lot of nerves leading up to it that are hidden. You don't really feel. They come out in different ways, like having to go to the bathroom a bunch of times. But once you get past that, it's go time, and I feel great. And once you break that sweat, then it's on. You know, it feels good.
All right, well, take us through this second time at Worlds.
So the second time at Worlds,
past year.
Second time at Worlds, that imposter syndrome is definitely gone because of the second place from the year before. So I've been training to correct that mistake. I was like, okay, all year I was hitting triangles and finishing them, like, to the best of my ability. Like, it wasn't the only move I was working on, but I'm like, this is never going to happen again.
Right.
I'm never going to get somebody in a triangle and not finish it. So, Worlds comes up, go out there, feel great. Took me 3 matches to warm up, which tells me I need to warm up harder before I start competing. Because that warm-up's important. You can feel like absolute just terrible if you don't do it right.
Yeah.
You start to self-doubt, like, am I actual shape? So I should probably warm up better. But I was going through people, just going through them. In fact, there was a guy that same term at Phoenix. We had COVID. We didn't know it at the time, but we competed, and we were like going through a fever while we were competing. And it was the first time I ever went into the finals thinking or knowing I was going to lose, because I'm like, I have no energy.
Yeah.
And so this guy ends up beating me. And so I think he's the semifinal, maybe the semifinal coming in. I'm like, okay, now's my chance to like redeem myself from Phoenix. And I redeemed him. Redemption was sweet. Awesome guy. Total respect to anybody I go against. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so everything was just firing just great. I was hitting submission. It wasn't about winning them by points that day. It was just doing the kills. So it all felt great. And when I went into the finals, felt phenomenal. Just so much energy. I was ready to go. Mm-hmm. So now was my second chance of redemption, because the guy that I was going with in the finals was a guy that took me out in the second round when I was a blue belt, my very first time going to Worlds. He took me out by 2 points, and we're both exhausted. He lost his next match. He was tired. I was tired. I was definitely ready to go home after that. And so I was like hoping his cardio was just as bad as it was back then. It wasn't. This guy was obviously on fire and doing great. So I was told, he's going to shoot a hard double leg, like, be ready for the double leg. And they're like, you're gonna have to pull guard on him. I'm like, okay. So, and pulling guard is just grabbing him and then sitting to my butt.
Okay.
Because my wrestling wasn't going to beat his wrestling. So it'd be play strategy.
Right.
It's a whole nother conversation. Jiu-Jitsu people are like, oh, pulling guard is, never getting Valhalla, blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna ego check a wrestler. Like, if his wrestling's better, I'm not gonna give him free 2 points.
Right.
I'm going to play my game, which doesn't give him points. And now he's got to pass my guard. Anyways. So I'm chasing this guy. He's moving backwards, and I'm chasing him, trying to grab him. He keeps backing up, which if you're moving forward, it's hard to sprawl if somebody shoots. Okay. So he changes level and shoots just a pretty blast double and takes me to my butt. I'm like, yeah, there's 2 points. So that's fine though. It happened so quickly. I'm like, I got an entire, all the minutes are left. I got plenty of time to come back from this. And so I start working my game. I don't let him pass. And within seconds after getting taken down, I threw a triangle on him. I got him in a triangle trap. And for 4.5 minutes, the rest of the match, I could not finish that triangle. And I just spent the whole damn year trying to finish, like, this will never happen to me again. I'm going to finish every triangle. He did something completely different than anything he just hunkered down so tight. And it would have been maybe a stalling, but when you're caught in a submission, nothing's stalling, right? Like, yeah. He's doing whatever he can do to survive.
Gotcha. And
we had sat there for 4.5 minutes. And you can hear his corner saying his legs are giving out. And I look back to shake my head, and my coach, Catlin, this is the time I did hear him. He's like, no, they're not. So he knew I was fired up. And yeah, I lost by 2. That's all. I lose by 2 points, like every damn time.
4.5 minutes of holding a submission.
Yeah, with my legs. Oh, and I went into a fever that night. I went into my legs went into it was weird. It turned into a fever, though. It was
wow.
Yeah, my legs just...
Put so much effort into it that...
Yeah, I really was invested in that finish. And I tried to do, I started abandoning the triangle, trying to get him to... I started doing dumb things to try to get him to open up and, not be so hunkered down. I was like, I got to do something to get this guy to move. And had I known, I should just wrist locked him or did a different approach. There's so many things I could... The hindsight's always 20/20. Yeah. So now I have 2 matches that live rent-free in my head, because no one likes saying almost world champion,
Kind of motivation for you now, though, right?
Yeah, but now I'm going to do it all over again next year at brown belt. So if I get gold at brown belt, it'd be pretty sweet because that's a pretty damn competitive belt.
Yeah.
It's just below black belt. But I gotta get rid of that imposter syndrome. I gotta go hit some opens, go hit pans, like start reminding myself I belong there.
Right.
And so get that back, feel healthy.
So the best way that you found to get rid of self-doubt or that imposter syndrome is just to put more work in.
Just get out there and do it. Yeah. Yeah. Just compete. Like, all right, now I can do good against brown belts in the gym when we're sparring, like in open mats, but that's different than going in a complete stranger from a complete different gym.
You know nothing about.
He's a competitor. Yeah, you know nothing about. I mean, you might get some tape on them. I don't really look at tape too often, so like I don't study my opponent. I'm gonna work my game, right? And it would be good to know like what's gonna happen in the first 10 seconds. That's all I need. What's gonna happen in the first 10 seconds? Like, should I pull on him? Should I try to wrestle him? Should I try to throw him? What should I do? Outside from that, he's got his game, I got my game, and I'm gonna play it. So my way to get over that imposter syndrome is just go compete.
Mm-hmm.
Just get rid of it because the gym will give you. It doesn't give me enough to feel like I'm ready. So, but I have that same mentality that I did, like especially now. I'm like they have to beat me. I'm the new kid on the block. I'm at the bottom of the belt. I mean, there might be a guy that's been a brown belt for freaking 6 years. I mean, there's sandbagging in every sport, and 6-year brown belt, that's not crazy. Who knows? He could definitely be a black belt masquerading as a brown belt. And so I could come across that guy, and then he can totally ruin my day in competition, and so you have to be prepared for that. But knowing that, like I'm now one belt away from black belt, and that's just insane to me. So, and that's where it gets really deep because once you hit black belt, then now you're definitely talking years. Like they don't separate
Right.
black belts. It's just 10 years, 20 years, 15, 20, whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to get somebody that's been doing it a long time probably. Whereas brown belt, I still have a chance to get someone that is relatively in line with the
Where you're at.
progression system of belts. So, yeah, that's why I feel for black belts that go out there and do it because that's wide open range.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So much different skill level within that
Yeah.
belt, right?
Yeah. I want to stay a brown belt forever now. Oh, yeah. Until I feel ready for black belt. Until
you'll get
my
black
people
belt.
tell me.
And then you'll be over that imposter syndrome
Yeah,
after a
yeah.
little while, and then you're feeling back and confident again.
Yeah.
Have you been able to extract any lessons from jiu-jitsu and apply it to your life?
Patience. Yeah. Just there's a lot of, I think it's calmed me down. Honestly, I'd like to say I've always been a nice guy, but I feel like I don't know, try to have a little more patience for things. Like I have a lot of anxieties that kind of set in after I had children, and I hate being late for places, and that's still big to me. And punctuality is important, but I don't know, there's this calmness that I've gained from it. It's also because of the competitive side of it. It's made me want to be healthier all around. The quitting the drinking, trying to eat a little better. I don't eat great. I kind of eat like a raccoon, but I work out like crazy, so I almost feel like I work out like crazy so I can eat like crap to some degree. As long as I can stay within my weight
Right.
range,
I think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah,
Myself included.
Well, I'm so tired of denying, things, like, oh, I'm going to eat a donut, it's a vice.
I mean, it's not the end of the world to have one, right?
Right.
If you're having
I might
30,
have
40.
They'd always make fun of me and the team for eating Pop-Tarts and drinking Monster Energy drinks. But I catch some of them drinking Monster Energy drinks too. So.
I love Monster Energy drinks.
I know. I did too. I don't know.
So you said kind of more patience. You're calmer. You've taken better care of yourself. Mm-hmm. Would you say those are like the big three that you've kind of pulled from jiu-jitsu?
Absolutely. I mean, outside of that jiu-jitsu life, I mean, what puts food on the table is software engineering. my career in software engineering. I've been doing that over 20 years, and I sit a lot. So if I don't move, my back gets sore. I get headaches.
Mm-hmm.
So jiu-jitsu keeps reminding me, you got to move. You got to move. Got to move. Got to train. Got to stay in shape. And so it's pushed those goals have pushed me in a healthier direction. And so aside from that, I don't know. There's probably a lot of under the hood stuff that I don't even think about, the subconscious things that something like that does for you. I mean, they always say it's good for an adult to suck at something later in life, just keep your brain like guessing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I used to play guitar when I was 15 for a little bit. And I'm like starting to throw things back in my life that I enjoyed doing and making time for those things, because it's easy to regret things if you let some of your favorite things sit on a shelf for too long.
Right.
So I think jiu-jitsu is kind of a part of that too. Just like, all right, just don't have regrets. Just do it now. It's easy to regret.
It's almost like when you started doing jiu-jitsu, you stopped putting things off.
Yeah.
Right. You picked up the guitar again. You wanted to do jiu-jitsu for so long, and then you finally did it. Now it's kind of like your catalyst to start taking action and enjoying your life more.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm parroting a quote, paraphrasing probably bad. The Rock that I heard, not a big quote guy. You don't see me quoting a lot of things, but I thought it was pretty powerful because I deal with it all the time with people. And The Rock said, you're either a one day kind of guy or a day one kind of guy. And that resonated really well with me because I get approached all the time. Like, oh man, I see what you see me on Instagram. Like, oh, it looks like you guys are just killing out there. There's a lot of fun. Like, I want to do that, but I want to get in shape first. I'm like, why? Just come show up. Be that day one person, because you'll regret it. You'll never show up. You will never, if you have that attitude, you won't. And some people do, but I always hear the same thing. Like, oh, I wish I would have been doing this sooner. And it's like, I will save you that I wish I would have nonsense by telling you to just show up, man. You'll get into shape. I mean, we've had plenty of overweight people come in and lose 40 pounds, 20 pounds in no time. Mm-hmm. Jiu-jitsu is unique. If you're on a squat rack and you're tired, you can put the weights down. If you got a person trying to choke you, they'll keep trying to choke you. You can quit. You can absolutely quit on the mats, and people do. But that person that's rolling with you, they're going to choke you.
Yeah.
So you have to accept the fact that if you quit, there's a consequence. And there's trust between our partners. We don't hurt our partners. But you get what I'm saying. You can put weights down. You can't put in a human that's trying to fight you down.
Yeah.
Unless you say, like, I'm just done. And then you've quit in a whole nother way. Like,
right.
You've cardio tapped, which we try to avoid. You've cardio tapped, and you allowed yourself to be broken. And it's not good. Don't allow that to happen. Like, you will grow if you just continue to embrace the suck. And that is something that I've learned from jiu-jitsu is it's great to suck. So, in fact, going to the cities, Rebel Jiu-Jitsu, another place in the city is our affiliate that we go to, and there was a guy that I never rolled with before until a seminar I came across, and he made me feel like an absolute child. He's like this third degree black belt. And it just made me feel like I didn't do any jiu-jitsu whatsoever, just a kid again. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy crap, like there's so many levels to this.
Yeah.
And it was great. And the coach up there, he can do the same thing too, but he lets me play a lot more. Where this guy is like, I'm not gonna let you play. I'm just gonna destroy you.
Yeah. And
so they both can do the same thing. So you get both lessons. Like you got a black belt that'll let you work a little bit, and then you got a black belt that isn't gonna give you an inch.
Yeah.
And
you got to work for everything.
Yeah, and they're both valuable. They're both valuable to have. So it was nice to be reminded, like, okay, you're a brown belt, but here's this black belt that's just kicking the crap out of you, just making you feel like a kid again, and making you feel like a white belt, like you've seriously, like I did zero jiu-jitsu, like nothing I did made sense to me in my own head. And it's nice to be reminded now and then. Like someone that's come that close to being a world champion at a decent belt, purple belt's no slouch. Made me like you start to question things again. Like, okay, like am I working hard enough? Like, what could I be doing to learn from that sort of scenario where you just get absolutely spanked on the mats and like, wow, yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. It's cool. I know you either love it or you hate it and quit in this sport. And certainly when you get to brown belt, you're not hating it and quitting. You're invested.
Yeah.
You're going all the way.
You've put a ton of work in.
Yeah. The quitting happens at blue belt. A lot of people achieve their blue belt and then walk away because so much growth happens from white to blue that you plateau hard. And now it's a game of centimeters, inches.
Yeah, you got to put more work in.
Yeah, because you had that knowledge gap. Your bucket was so empty, and now feels so full, and you can really, really get lost in the psychological part of it. And I hated blue belt, so I was happy to get through the blue belt blues and get past all that stuff. I knew I was never going to quit, but that wasn't going to be me. But yeah, the whole sport is it screws with your mind in good ways and bad ways and keeps you guessing. So there's a lot I can take from it, but I think a lot of it's unseen psychological stuff. I don't know.
I think so for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Nick, if people wanted to follow along your journey and like, are you doing Worlds again this year?
Yes. Yeah.
Where would people follow along with that?
Well, best place to follow me is on Instagram at Nick Metnik. That's NickMetnik. And Club 37 JJ for Jiu-Jitsu.
So would you advise anybody that's looking to get into Jiu-Jitsu to come to your club?
Yes. Yeah. Get started now. Like, don't wait. Especially now they're upgrading the facility in crazy ways. And memberships are going to go up. So now's the time to get in.
Be that day one person.
Be that day one person. I was just going to say, stop. You'll regret it. You push that. You'll get in shape and you'll learn. You're going to get destroyed in the beginning. You have to accept that you're going to suck. You have to check that ego at the door. Everybody comes in and they try to overcompensate with muscle. And it's just not how it works. That muscle actually, it plays with your mind because you think, oh, I'm strong. I'm just going to muscle my way. Well, if you use your muscle, I can control your body more because you're rigid. But if you're like a rope and you know how to be soft, like it's hard for a jiu-jitsu player to move you around. So like jiu-jitsu is crazy like that because it's a lot of the things that are instinctual are wrong. So everybody comes in, and I was guilty of trying too hard to win. And you just have to. It teaches you to set smaller, achievable goals. It's great to have your long-term, big goals, but maybe your goal should be like survive around with that person, or don't get choked by that guy. He always has the same choke. Don't fall for it. Like just achievable things, and you'll watch your growth, and you'll enjoy it a lot more. And then you'll be the guy someday, put people in miserable spots and stuff and helping them. Like it's a beautiful thing. It's an awesome community. And if it's something you're interested in, and plus it's a life skill. I mean, the world does have some bad people in it, and people have knives and guns, and there's not much you can do about that. You shouldn't fight, period. Because of that, because everybody has a pocket knife nowadays or whatnot. But who knows? Maybe it'll help you get out of a bad situation. Otherwise, just enjoy something different. Get in shape while learning something useful, like a self-defense. So get into it. Do it. Yeah. Don't go break boards and stuff like that. Go get into boxing, your classic boxing, traditional boxing, or Muay Thai, or Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know, that karate combat's looking fun. I know karate's probably going to make a comeback now. So I wasn't trying to crap on karate by saying break boards. But you know what I mean? Like spar with people and, embrace it. It's beautiful once you get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
well, thanks for coming on the podcast, Nick.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me, Corey.
Appreciate it. We learned a lot about jiu-jitsu today.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good, good. Well, it's a pretty vast subject, and its popularity is gaining like crazy. And once you start looking into it, you're like, I can't believe this celebrity does it, that celebrity. Yeah, it's not so underground anymore. So hopefully we can elevate the sport to a level that it can be enjoyed by more. But it's hard to enjoy the sport unless you do it, because it could appear very boring until you like. Not every match is fun to watch, so it's tough. A lot of people like see people break noses and stuff, so and get knocked out. So jiu-jitsu's not that, but it's getting exciting. I think it's getting flashy and fun and high speed. So hopefully we'll get there.
I think you will.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening to the Inner Journeys, Outer Adventures podcast. I'm your host, Corey Jacobson. We'll see you next time.